This is the Last Temptation of John podcast, and I am John. I want to welcome you to the show. Now, this is an audio book, and I'm currently reading through a trilogy of books that make up the Last Temptation of John book series. We're currently reading Book 2, The Rise of the Antichrist, and this assumes you've already listened to Book 1, which you can find on the podcast library. Meanwhile, if you are ready to continue with Book 2, let's proceed forward. Chapter 3 is called The Feast. The date is still June 24th. Time passed, and my sight shifted. I now saw a room filled with ornate decorations from the world over. A succulent feast was arrayed atop a massive dining table, and Dr. Gaz al-Ridwan Mehboo himself was seated at the head of the board. Despite the multitude of chairs, only one other seat was filled, by my friend Alan Zaris. "Soon enough you will be taken to room 101, Dr. Mehboo told his guest. "There, you and I will finally learn to cooperate with one another. But first, I have a few more things I'd like to show you, to give you a chance to reconsider your position." Alan didn't reply. Instead, he reached forward towards the middle of the table and began to help himself to some of the delicacies before him. Dr. Mehboo raised an eyebrow at that. "Serving yourself before the master is not polite." "I assume you'll teach me a lesson," Alan quipped, mouth full of food. Mehboo muttered something at that, but I couldn't make it out. Meanwhile, the lone servant in the room made a plate for the dictator as well. The pair ate mostly in silence, with Dr. Mehboo occasionally making a comment about world events, but Alan never responded. For my part, I couldn't help but remember a proverb that seemed to fit the situation. "Better a meal of vegetables where there is love than a fattened calf with hatred." That's Proverbs 15, verse 17. Why do I remember so many proverbs, you ask? Well, outside of my own writing, the book of Proverbs and Psalms were always my favorite ones in the Bible. If you're looking to get some wisdom, and who isn't, take a gander at those sections. It's like reading a self-improvement book. Good stuff. Now, where were we? Oh, yes, Alan and Dr. Mehboo. Paying attention, I saw Mehboo sit back. Let's enjoy the sunrise, shall we?" And he called over to his attendant, "Jamir!" The wall opposite Alan was covered by a giant purple curtain, and pulling the cords, the servant Jamir parted the fabric to reveal a large pavered courtyard, in the middle of which was a humongous fountain. And my eyes were immediately drawn to a monumental sculpture that bestrode that pool, a terrible beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, each of the heads spewing out a vile black water that fell violently down to the roiling pool at the beast's feet. It was the 7-headed dragon from the Book of Revelation. There was no doubt in my mind that this was the same fountain where I saw Miriam last hiding, and even from this vantage point it gave me the chills, as I wondered, was Miriam still hiding there? I realize now that it was early morning in my vision, for the sun was rising majestically behind the statue, and I wondered something else. Did Alan know that this colossus was the beast I had warned everybody about from my book nearly 2,000 years ago? If you're not familiar with it, read Revelation chapter 13. And when Alan shuddered, I got my answer. "I see that you like it," Dr. Mehboo admired the statue. "It's me, you know. And I can see that you do know. That's good. It will make the process easier for all of us." Then, rising from his chair, he boasted, "It's been a mere 3 years since I ascended to this throne, and yet already I stand on the brink of world domination." "Hardly," Alan disputed. "So you rule a chunk of the Middle East. That's a far cry from ruling the planet. Even if you are the new UN Secretary General, I'm sure America and England aren't under your power, and we all know that Putin marches to the beat of his own drum. So where does that leave you?" "Tisk, tisk, tisk," Mehboo sighed. "And here I thought you were the smart one, Professor Lazarus." "Do I really have to spell it out for you?" "Sure, there are outliers, but no matter, they can't hold out forever. It's simple economics, man. After all, the EU, most of Asia, and all of Africa have already accepted my identichip. As for my friends Vladimir and the Donald, they'll soon throw their lot in with me as well, once I show them the math." Oh, and giving you the power to monitor every move of their citizens too, Alan surmised. In exchange for what, Dr. Maybu? Why, convenience, safety, prestige. Smart nations want their citizens to enjoy all of the same freedoms that my humanity has. You mean the loss of freedom, Alan spat back. Perhaps, Dr. Maybu agreed. It's all a matter of perspective, really, isn't it? You know as well as I that the third and fourth seals have already been broken. Events are cascading forward and people are scared. Wouldn't you agree to give a bit of privacy if you could rest assured that all war, famine, and crime would be wiped out, making your family safe forever? Oh, and you are the man to provide this? Alan scoffed. With all due respect, Dr. Maybu, we both know you're playing both sides of the fence. After all, you are the cause of all these troubles. Alan, my friend, I'm shocked, Dr. Maybu joked. Could it be that you really don't know me? And after pausing for effect, he continued, or maybe you do. If you've read John's Revelation, you know what I'm after. This is all just window dressing, a rehearsal, if you will, prior to the real event. You are just a rehearsal, Alan replied. You can't win. Jesus will return. Correction. I can't lose, Dr. Maybu said proudly. Dear Professor, do you really think I'm only relying on mortal men to help my cause? Jameer, bring me my laptop. After the servant set up his mobile device, Dr. Maybu advised, Alan, I think you'll be interested in this. Come, take a look. I then watched as Alan begrudgingly rose from his chair and walked over to his captor's station to peer at Dr. Maybu's computer. That's when I saw it. A sight I'll never forget. On that monitor, I could see what appeared to be 7 webcam views, each showcasing a horrific sight, something that I knew was inevitable, but which I never believed could actually come to pass. I'm calling Chapter 4 Crime and Punishment. The date is still June 24th, and we're looking at Dr. Maybu's computer again. I trust you know what you're witnessing, Dr. Maybu asked. How is this possible? How did you subdue them? Details. Does it really matter? Dr. Maybu waved off the question. The point is that I have all 7 of the angels, the fallen angels, and when the appointed time comes, they will be released, along with their plagues, giving me the power to overcome your master. Okay, friends, I gotta pause this vision for a moment. I mean, even though I wrote about this in Revelation chapter 16, I didn't really think it would come true. I mean, Maybu has the 7. Do you understand the significance? Ugh, for your sake, I hope you don't. It's too terrifying. You don't want to know what happens when the angels release God's wrath. Meanwhile, Alan continued looking at the screen, captivated in horror. Oh my God, look at how you have them shackled. I mean, why did you tear off their wings? Can't you see their wounds are festering still? While Alan turned away to keep from retching, I could see that Dr. Maybu actually was admiring the sight. It was a gruesome view. Each webcam showed one of 7 angels held in a dark, dank cell. The cells so small that the captives were forced to remain upright in what must have been a claustrophobic torture. Their heads were bound back so their faces were forced to look continuously in the direction of the hidden webcams above them. Worse yet, a mysterious fiery steam repeatedly wafted upwards, adding to their misery. Their conditions are terrible, Alan complained. And what's with that smoke? Why, it's the wrath of God. Your God, Dr. Maybu casually replied. And seeing Alan turn green, the beast added, Surely you know your Bible, man. Each angel possesses a golden bowl, and each bowl contains one wrath. The bowls are set at the bottom of their cell so that the wraths smoke upwards, forcing the angels to endure the punishment of their God. Why, it's really genius, don't you think? Oh my God, I'm speechless at this. I mean, even I didn't think someone could be so cruel. Alan apparently felt the same as he said, I don't understand. You believe these angels are going to help you? Don't be a fool, Mabu. Why would they ever want to help you? These angels must hate you. On the contrary, Dr. Mabu boasted, they love me. Why, that's absurd, Alan cast off. It's true, Dr. Mabu replied. Oh, at first none of them were pleased about being captured, but in time, after I repeatedly worked with them, each of them began to understand that I am the only one who can save them. And so now they view me as their savior, their big brother, if you will. They worship me. They live only to please me, and when the time comes, they will do my bidding. Lord, please don't make him correct on that, I thought. You're mad, Alan turned away from the awful vision again. Mabu only laughed. Who can say for sure? But that's besides the point. Instead, let me ask you again, as I now have every day since you came here, will you, Alan Zaris, nee Lazarus, help me obtain the nails of Jesus from your friends? And I will answer as I have every time you've asked that question, Alan replied acidly. I'll never tell you where they are. Why do you resist me? Dr. Mabu shot back. Do you really think I need you to tell me that information? I mean, surely you realize I'm just testing you, don't you, Alan? Alan didn't reply to that, seemingly now unsure if his captor was teasing him or not. Thus it was that Mabu averred, I see the value in you, man. You still have a chance to save yourself. Jesus of Nazareth is not coming back. He's dead. I tell you the truth. And here Mabu stood up and formally stretched out his hand to Alan. Join me, Lazarus, and find out what it's like to live. Alan only slapped Mabu's hand away. Never. I'll never join you. Even if Jesus isn't coming back, I'd rather die than join you. So be it, Mabu sighed and sat down. Alan then remained standing in awkward silence, while Mabu merely smiled as he continued watching the angels on the webcam in constant agony. After a time, and without looking up, the beast remarked, Don't you think I know how to press your buttons? I know your weaknesses too, boy. And as if on cue, the door opened and a beautiful woman sauntered in. I'm sure you can guess who it was, right? This time, Terry was wearing purple and scarlet, and fine jewels graced her neck, yet her long black hair covered her face so that Alan couldn't see her features as she walked over towards Mabu and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Now it was clear to me that Alan was in no mood to admire beauty, and thus he didn't seem to be paying attention when the girl first passed him by, but when the woman turned to face him and then said in a honey-laden voice, I missed you in Rome, Alan. It was Alan who was confused. Terry? What are you doing? The man still doesn't get it, does he? Mystery, Dr. Mabu interrupted, putting an end to the suspense. Terry shrugged at the revelation and then leaned forward to give Alan a kiss. Get behind me, Satan! Alan backed away in revulsion now that he knew the truth about his former companion. Mystery? Why, you! You are the great prostitute of Revelation, the mother of all abominations. And so it all begins to fit together, eh, friends? Are you still confused? Well, you know what I'll say. Go to the book Revelation, this time chapter 17, and read for yourself. It will be a mystery no more. Meanwhile, both Mabu and Terry laughed. Finally, the woman replied, Call me what you will, Alan. Yes, my true name is Mystery, yet you seemed pretty happy with me the last time we were together. Alan blushed at that. I corrected my error before my sin became too great. Ah, your sin. Is that what you're calling me now? Well, that's why I'm here now, you see. What do you mean? Alan said guardedly. What have you done with Pope Benedict? You know what I mean, Alan. And don't worry about Benedict. He's fine, too. Oh, and he says hello. But trouble yourself not about that. Instead, look at me. Don't you see? I'm here to finish what we started, while you still have your strength. What are you Alan stopped. I think what she means, Dr. Mabu laughed, is that Mystery plans to sleep with you to complete your sin before I kill you. Something like that, Mystery agreed, now caressing Alan's cheek, even as he was unable to resist this new assault on his soul. Oh, God save him, I thought. This is not good. Well, that's the end of our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Now be sure to visit our website at temptationofjohn.com, where you can read the full text version of this chapter, get access to exclusive interactive media content only available online, and go behind the scenes with additional references about the Apostle John, Mary Magdalene, the Antichrist, the Book of Revelation, and much more. On our website, you'll find links to every podcast episode, and you can also join the Temptation of John Book Club. It's free to join, and you can get notified when new chapters are released, and even interact with the author. That's yours truly. Again, you'll find all this and more at temptationofjohn.com. Hey, before we move on, I've got to tell you about this book called The Action Bible. If you have children, particularly boys or girls that like comic books, and you want to kind of expose them to the wisdom of the Bible, you'll find no better resource than the Action Bible. I mean, this thing has over 2,500 reviews on Amazon, and almost every single one of them is a 5-star review. It is a picture Bible that's really one of the most complete versions I've seen. It's very captivating, very up-to-date, and it's very visually focused. Over 215 really fast-paced narratives. They go in chronological order and make it really easy to follow the Bible's historical flow. Lots of thrilling climaxes, but they also very clearly communicate, the message of the Bible as well, too, to younger readers. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go to temptationofjohn.com/sponsors, and I can give you a direct link to learn more about this Bible. Again, it's called the Action Bible, and you can find it on our webpage, temptationofjohn.com, with a direct link to Amazon. All right, let's move on to the next chapter.